Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. It's the end of the year. Got my holiday sweater on. I'm a huge Mike Castle fan. Had it for dinner tonight. And I'm going to be doing now my year-end review of my top 25 albums that officially got put into my database this year. Many of them I bought this year. Some of them bought last year. Some even older than that. But for me, these are albums that I officially got this year. And I'm going to show you 25 of my favorite. Now, it's been a whopping year for me. I think this is the most ever. I got 179 new albums in 2024. Now, some of them are what I would call new old. They're old albums, but new to me. But at the end of the video, I will show you all 179 for people that are interested in seeing an alphabetized list. Because, you know, it's all computerized. But I'm going to show you the top 25. Now, before I start, a couple of cleaning up things. The other day I did a video on from backlog to catalog where some of these show up, stuff that is now officially in the catalog. There was one that I discovered today, and it is perfect for the holidays, so I wanted to show it to you because I was listening to it all day today. And that is this one, Elton John's Christmas Party. Gotta tell you, it's Christmas, it's the holidays, and if you like Christmas albums, this is a great one. You know, Elton John is a musicologist, and he put together a wonderful Christmas set, some deeper cuts that you might not expect, and including possibly one of my top Christmas songs from the band, Christmas Must Be Tonight. So Elton's got great taste. So if you're not familiar with this and you want a Christmas album, go try to find it. Elton John's Christmas Party, excellent album. I'm going to put that over there for now. The other thing, hey David, I took it from the backlog. I'm starting to listen to it, and it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So, but this will be in next year's list. All right, let's get started in alphabetical order. 25 or so of my favorite albums out of the 179 that I bought this year. And we got some background music, which we're going to be discussing in a little bit. All right, let's start at the beginning of the alphabet, pretty much. Blackberry Smoke. This album actually came out this year. This is Be Right Here. I'm a big fan of Blackberry Smoke. Really good record. I'm a big fan of them. This album, not one of my favorites by them, but it's really good. I kind of felt maybe it was a little bit more country-ish, commercial-ish. But a fine release from Blackberry Smoke. Stick that guy over there. All right, let's keep going. This is an oldie, but good luck finding it. It took me a long time to find it. I mentioned this the other day. The Complete Raunch and Roll Live, Black Oak, Arkansas. This is two shows, over here and way over yonder, and some duplication of songs. But if you go back to the 70s like me and you remember raw, unadulterated live rock and roll with no overdubs, here's a good example of it. It's raw. And of course, Jim Dandy's vocals is a bit of an acquired taste, but if you acquire it, fun stuff. This is an old bootleg. I was just talking about this one, and this is a show I had never heard of. This is Crosby, Nash, and Young. That's right, they did this show without stills, and it's a soundboard. It's from March 26, 1972, and maybe you could find this as a download somewhere, because it's a really, really cool concert. Let's keep going. This is one that came out many years ago. I'm a fan of Grand Funk Railroad, and this is one, For the People by Mark Farner. What does he say? The Rock Patriot. It's actually autographed by Mark. But a pretty good release, gotta say. I'm a fan of Mark. I only wish they would be able to reform Grand Funk for us fans. But since they can't, it's a good release anyway. We're going to hold this one off later. Now, I'm a huge fan of Ian Hunter, and he has had massive success for me over the years. He has finished in the top 3 multiple times. He's just going to miss out this year. He put out this twofer, basically, Defiance Part 1, which actually came out 2 years ago. And this was a really good album, really excellent. A lot of great songs on here, Don't Tread on Me. The biggie for me is Bed of Roses. In a perfect world, this would have been a huge rock and roll hit and would have been back in the day. But this is great. This year he did Part 2, Defiance Part 2, and this was called Fiction, and another fine album, really good stuff. He is just a perfect example of an aging rock star, no better way to put it, an aging rock star who's putting out the best material of his career over the last decade or so. He's really stupendous. You know, Bob Dylan gets all the credit, but Ian Hunter's amazing. Let's keep going. I had really high hopes for this one. I'm a huge Dire Straits fan, as you know, but I'm a huge Mark Knopfler fan. I have everything he's ever released. And this was the album he put out this year called One Deep River. And this is the deluxe edition, bonus disc with bonus tracks. And it's what I would say another fine Mark Knopfler release, but it's kind of samey. I feel like Mark, you know, it's all quality stuff, but this album doesn't stand out for me like a lot of his other ones did. Just didn't have the legs for me, but it's a fine album. Mark Knopfler. I was just talking about this the other day. This is Joni Mitchell, and Joni Mitchell at Newport featuring the Joni Jam. This came out this year. And listen, it's phenomenal that she came back out, even though she was sitting, and all these fans of hers, including Brandi Carlile, put it together. It's a good release. Again, I found it a little patronizing with the giggling by Joni and Brandi constantly. I don't know, but it's good record. I thought this was amazing. I recently saw Alan Parsons in concert. This album came out 2 years ago, but new to me. One Note Symphony live in Tel Aviv with the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra. I love symphonic music with rock and roll when it merges really well. Tends to merge really well with progressive rock. And Alan Parsons, really interesting because he's kind of progressive rock, but at the same time, he's not overly progressive, could be kind of commercial. But these are great packages when you see these things. DVDs with 2 CDs with an orchestra. It's phenomenal, and the DVD is spectacular. If you like that kind of stuff, you like Alan Parsons, you like the merging of progressive rock with a symphony, it's spectacular. And it's definitely one of my favorite albums of the year. The Rolling Stones released 2 great live records this year. Unfortunately, they didn't sell squat, but it's a shame. Their packaging certainly doesn't help. Live at the Wiltern earlier this year, and then Welcome to Shepherd's Bush really just came out. I did a full review on both of these. And the great thing about this, great performances. You get 2 CDs, the whole concert on CD, plus the DVD or Blu-ray. And it's all about the set list. I think Wiltern might be a little bit better set list because look at how deep that one gets. It's just a spectacular show. They're just having so much fun. But they are equally having fun on Shepherd's Bush. And you get Some Girls, Melody, I Got the Blues, Brand New Car, Moon is Up. It's worth it just for that alone. These are great performances. Really terrific. Great job from the Stones except for the artwork, which is horrendous. But like I said, unfortunately, just not selling, that's for sure. It's a shame. But these are great archive releases from the Stones. Love getting them, love having them. What else am I going to show you? I'm going to show you the band Suede, who put out a new album. I think it came out last year. I got it this year. It's called Auto Fiction. This was the original release. And the funny thing was, I held off getting this album because I know Suede. They always seem to release a latter day edition with bonus stuff. And I held off buying this, and finally I'm like, I'm just going to get it finally. And sure enough, literally like right after I got it, they released this mega release version of it, which was Auto Fiction. This one, which is a 3-disc set, including extras, and then a live album of all the new songs. It's a fine release. It wins the award for the worst packaging I've ever seen in my life. But it's a really cool, really strong record from Suede. If you're new to Suede, this is not the one I would start with, but it's still plenty good. Another one I'm going to mention is an archive release that I got this year. I think it might have even come out this year, maybe last year. Neil Young's Time Fades Away. This album came out, what, around 73, I think it was. And this is when rock and roll stars were artists. Neil Young was at the peak with After the Gold Rush and Harvest, and he goes on tour, and instead of playing that material, he's playing stuff that was new, unreleased, nobody knew it, totally unlike Harvest and After the Gold Rush. He was in a weird space. He had fired Danny Whitten from the band, who then overdosed, and he put out this album, which is kind of a live album, but I mean, it is live, but it's not really a live album. The stuff is live, kind of like what Jackson Browne did in a way with Running on Empty. But all these songs were recorded live. They were all new, and it's just a haunting album that always had kind of a bad reputation. I never had it because Neil, it wasn't readily available. You never saw it on CD. It's hard enough to find Tonight's the Night, but this one was really hard to find. And I got it this year, and I love it. This album is way up there for my favorite album of the year, even though it came out back in, I think, 73. Time Fades Away. For you big Neil Young fans, if you're a newbie to Neil Young, this is not the one you want to start with, but it's great. Uriah Heep. I got this album the end of last year, so for me it counts for this year because that's when I listened to it. And their new album was Chaos and Color. And this album blew me away. It's an excellent, excellent Uriah Heep album. They are putting out really great albums in this latter-day time for Uriah Heep. And, I think they're going to be doing a farewell tour, or maybe they just finished up their farewell tour. But they're going out in style because their newest albums are really good. Now, this is for Uriah Heep fans. They still sound like Uriah Heep. Not everybody loves Uriah Heep, and if you don't like Uriah Heep, you're not really going to like this. But if you like Uriah Heep, this is a terrific album. Chaos and Color. Now, I know this came out last year, but I got it this year. And Steven Wilson, The Harmony Codex. This was an album that also came out, I think, the end of last year, and I got it the end of the last year. I got it as a gift, as I did the Uriah Heep album. And it was a pretty good record. I like Steven Wilson for sure. But that one I found a little bit of a mixed bag. Let's keep going. Let's talk about some of the other really cool ones. Here's on vinyl. This is an archive release from the Marshall Tucker Band. I'm a huge Southern rock fan. This came out a couple of years ago. Found it on vinyl New Year's Eve in New Orleans. Roll Up 78, Light Up 79. Recorded live at the Warehouse in New Orleans, better known as David's Home Away from Home. I think he's seen every concert ever at the Warehouse. He probably was at this show. But if you like Southern rock, Marshall Tucker sounds great on this recording. Love that one, and it actually comes that way. That is not ringware. It comes that way. This album was a find for me. I got this at a record show at the beginning of the year. Yep, that's my love. Olivia Newton-John. This is called Love Performance. This is a live record that was only released in Japan way back in the day. This was released in 1981. It's from a 76 concert, 1976. And you know I'm a fan of Olivia Newton-John. And I got to tell you, man, oh, did I love this album. Came with a poster. So I know this is an old album. And you're never going to find it because it was only a vinyl in Japan. But they should release this. Somebody should release this. Another album I got this year that I thought was really cool, we just talked about it, was John Wetton's Extraordinary Life box set. And this is all 6 of his studio records and 2 rarities on CD. Remastered, beautiful book. I just did a video of it. I did an unboxing of it as well. And this was also a great album box set that I got earlier this year. And was really, really cool. Another really special release that I just love. And this is actually going to be my number 3 album of the year. I think that's what we're up to. Number 3 album of the year is this box set, Dire Straits, live 1978 to 1992. Now, yeah, it's a little bit of a cheat because a lot of the stuff I already had. Alchemy and On the Night. Encores was an EP live record. Live at the BBC. That was all previous released, except they expanded them. So they really are new experiences. They're remastered. There's extra tracks on them. On the Night is more than double the length probably. And the big one right there, Live at the Rainbow, was never released, and you got 2 discs of that amazing time period. The thing about Dire Straits, and I talked about it when I reviewed this box, is that they always sound different, man. They always change. They are not the same band from tour to tour or even from album to album. So you just never really get bored listening to Dire Straits, and they're spectacular live. And like I said, completely different. This is an amazing box set. If you like Dire Straits, it's a necessity. And if you don't really know Dire Straits, they're very different live than they are on the studio albums. They expand things. It's all right there. That is my number 3 favorite album of the year, Dire Straits, Live 78 to 1992, the box set. At number 2 for the year is going to be this amazing live record, another one. This came out this year. Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit Live at the Ryman Volume 2. This album is spectacular. I did a whole review of it, track by track. Check it out in album reviews. But this is an amazing live album. It's an incredible experience. And like any true artist, this live record is only comprised pretty much, 90% of it is only from like his last 2 or 3 albums. And his earlier albums are incredible, but he already had live albums from that. So here's an artist that plays his current stuff, releases a new live album from it, and you don't miss the older stuff because that's already been released. This is like a greatest best of his more recent stuff, but amazing live versions at the Ryman. This is an essential album. It is my number 2 favorite album of the year. What is my number 1 favorite album of the year? David Gilmour, Luck and Strange. I love this album. I think it's absolutely terrific. I love it from beginning to end. And like all great albums, not only is it really solid from beginning to end, but it reaches some really high highs. And I will tell you that the song that Romany Gilmour sings, Between 2 Points, might be my favorite song of the year. It is such an intense song. I know it's a cover, but nobody knows that song until he did it. It's spectacular. I love this album. That is my number 1 album of the year. David Gilmour, Luck and Strange. Right there. Let me tell you some other things. The background music you've been listening to is also one of my favorite albums of the year. It's a band, like I've been getting more and more into jazz. You'll see it on my album list if you stick around at the end. But this is a band called Mind Open. They seem to be a local band in the tri-state area, Long Island. They play locally. It's jazzy. It's all original material. This is what the cover looks like. And that's the members of the band, the 4 guys. The leader seems to be a guy, Chris Covey. And the lead instruments are what you hear, vibes, marimba, and Hammond, and all the other percussive kind of keyboard sounds. The musicians are amazing. I saw them live, got this CD. I've been playing it all year. Hopefully you could hear some of this. Highly recommended. Now, I don't know where you would buy this. If you're interested, again, I'm not trying to push them. I just try to turn people onto music. I imagine they probably sell this on the internet, but you can check out, if you're interested, mindopenmusic.com. But I think it's awesome, jazzy, but it's all marimba and vibes. It's great. So that's what we've been listening to, and definitely one of my favorite albums, believe it or not, of the year. So that's them. The only other thing, I always talk about who's my favorite new artist of the year, and this one is kind of interesting, and I thank you from my channel because you've been sending me suggestions. And when I did that Canadian artist video, you guys said you got to get into Ron Sexsmith, and he's an artist that I knew of but didn't know any of his material, and because of you guys, I wound up picking up 3 of his albums this year, and I am really liking all 3. And especially the first one I picked up was this Forever Endeavor, and I think that one's grabbing me the most. But I really like all 3. kind of reminds me of Ray Davies and the Kinks on occasion, and that's a compliment because I am a huge Ray Davies Kinks fan. So that is nothing but a compliment. And so I'm going to continue growing with Ron Sexsmith, and he's going to win, for me, Best New Artist, even though I know he's probably been around for 20 plus years. But what the hell, that's the great thing about music. It's always new to somebody who's experiencing it for the first time. And timeless music stays great. So for me, Best New Artist of the Year. And again, my number 3 album of the year, Dire Straits Live 1978-1992. Yeah, it's sort of a cheat, but not really, because there's a lot of new material on there. Number 2 album of the year, Jason Isbell Does It Again. That guy consistently has the top 3 album of the year for me when he releases a new one. And that's his double live one, Live at the Ryman Volume 2. And the number 1 album of the year for me is going to be none other than Luck and Strange from David Gilmour. I love it. Great release. I only wish I could have saw him live, but he sold out instantly, and I could not afford his ticket prices anyway. But that's the year of 2024 for me. Let me know what your favorites are of the year. And again, these are purchases for me. It's not all new music, but a lot of it is new. Now, that's the end of the video. This is for you really dedicated fans who think maybe I exaggerate or lie, and I never exaggerate and I never lie. It's all about truthfulness. And so this year there's 179 albums that I got, meaning I either bought them this year or they were in the backlog and they finally made it to the catalog, which is new for 2024. A lot of bootlegs, some really old stuff, new to me. So a lot of these you'll recognize from my videos. So this is the end of the video. I'm just going to show them to you. Enjoy the music, and I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show. And then you could always pause if you really want to read it. So there's 179 new albums in 2024. And that is page 1. I know this is kind of low budget, but I'm low budget. Here's page 2. We'll start seeing more and more jazz. I don't talk about it much on my channel, but I'm getting jazz every once in a while. Al Di Meola. This is kind of cool, right? I think this is kind of cool. Remember I got that huge Elton John haul earlier in the year? That's what that is. Those are all Kinks bootlegs pretty much. Some old box sets that I picked up that finally got out of the backlog. Yeah, Adam Hart Mother was the only Pink Floyd album I never had, and I picked up that this year. Chris Rea, I keep picking up his stuff. Great. That was a cool Status Quo box set, by the way, right there. And what do I got? One more page, I think. Tangerine Dream got 3 albums this year. That was a great box set over there, by the way. That Rock, Rhythm, and Doo-Wop Greatest Hits. It's like a 50s box set. That was terrific. And 2 more Waterboys albums that were great, too. That were older. All right. Oh, no, there's one more page. Here's all that John Wetton from that box set. Paul Winter Concert, 3 of their albums, jazz. Yeah, I got Time Fades Away on 8-track also. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And one more thing I'm going to mention, I should have mentioned earlier. I was recently a guest on another channel called Curless Mania. And we did an hour and 10-minute video just talking about Emotional Rescue and Undercover. Called them Dark Horse albums. I call them Great Rolling Stones albums for Rolling Stones fans. And we went through it song by song and which one is better, which one is worse. So if you're into the Stones and you like Emotional Rescue or Undercover, you may want to watch that, Curless Mania. And there I am. It was a fun time. I had a really good time. Alrighty, guys. I probably may not see you. Maybe I will. I don't know. If I don't see you, have a Merry, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show. And hit subscribe if you're new. Why not? Makes me happy. Make you happy too, hopefully. Alright, I'll see you guys.